Meher Baba, 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 Meher Baba.
We have been covering the discourse given by Baba, Reincarnation and Karma. It is in 7 parts. We completed the first part, which is the significance of death. We understood about the significance of death. Now the second chapter is heaven and hell. In this chapter, we are going to learn what is going to happen after the death. In the first chapter, we talked about the death. The second chapter covers about what is going to happen after the death. In general, depending upon the kind of acts we do in this life, we have to experience either hell or heaven after the death. So what kind of actions will lead to hell experience and what kind of actions will lead to heaven experience, and what happens inside heaven and what happens inside hell, all these details we get to know. Why do we need to know about heaven and hell? We are on the earth today and we don't know where the heaven and hell are, right? So why do we need to know? Once we know what kind of actions that we do on this earthly life, it will help us to tune our earthly life so that we can minimize going to the hell. Without knowing that, if we get involved into various actions in a haphazard manner, we are likely to go to hell as well. So this chapter will help us to tune our behavior on this earth. That is the purpose of this chapter. In order to understand heaven and hell, how our life is going to be in heaven, how our life is going to be in hell, it is important to understand our actions, because our actions are responsible for our experience in either heaven or hell. So if we understand our actions on the earth thoroughly, it will help us to tune our behavior. How many categories of actions are there, and in each category, what is the significance of each category, how it influences our life after the death, heaven or hell, right? How these actions influence our life after death. That will help. So first, what we do is we will understand the categories of the actions that we perform on this earth, and then we will go into the subject to understand heaven and hell. So that's the plan for today. Are we all good?
Yes.
Okay. So the actions, the categories of actions, we try to understand based on 2 concepts. One concept is the timing of action. When we are doing the actions, based on that, the actions are categorized into 3 different categories. And those categories are Prarabdha Karmas in Sanskrit, which means the actions that are already decided for us to perform in this life at the time of birth itself. For every human being, how we are going to live, whether we are going to live as a man or a woman, whether we are going to live as a rich person or a poor person, educated, uneducated, beauty, ugly, all these options are already decided at the time of the birth. And that package that is already there at the time of the birth is called Prarabdha Karmas. And the samskaras that prompt these actions are called as Prarabdha Sanskaras.
That is natural samskaras. Natural samskaras.
Not necessarily. That is a different category. That is a different category. The question is whether the Prarabdha Karmas are Prarabdha Sanskaras are natural samskaras or not. That is the question. Natural, non-natural is based on the evolution. The samskaras gained throughout the evolution until before the human life are categorized as natural samskaras. Once the human life is obtained, the samskaras are non-natural. And the samskaras that we acquire after the human body is attained are based on our discrimination, whether to do this way or that way. So it is based on our discrimination, and those are non-natural samskaras. So the second category of actions that we perform here are the actions that we perform after the birth. At the time of birth, one package is ready, fine, leave it aside. In addition to that one, in addition to the actions decided by that package, what we are calling as Prarabdha Karmas, we also perform additional actions reacting to the environment, reacting to the other people. Other people influence us by inspiring us to do certain actions. For example, somebody might suggest, did you try pizza? It is so good. So this guy only knows idli and dosa. He is not aware of the pizza. In his package, Prarabdha Karma, only idli and dosa are there. He is destined to consume idlis and dosas in this life. That is the Prarabdha package. Whereas friend suggested to try the pizza. So when the pizza is eaten, additional samskaras are formed. Those are Agami Sanskaras. So our life, what kind of actions we do in this life are a mixed bag of both Prarabdha Karmas as well as Agami Karmas. Certain things that are decided at the birth, certain things that are influenced after the birth. Influenced by people, influenced by the places, the environment, anything and everything that we have in our surroundings. So we react to both kind of actions. The initial package plus influential package. The difference is the initial package or the Prarabdha Karmas all have to be executed in this life. Suppose we started this life with 50 good samskaras and 50 bad samskaras, total 100 samskaras. All 100 samskaras, good and bad, they have to be executed in this life. Whereas the Agami Sanskaras that you acquire as a result of the influence by the environment may or may not be spent in this life. They don't have a binding to this life, whereas Prarabdha Karmas have a binding to this life. So in case if you are not able to complete such action in this life, your friend suggested you to try pizza. So far we know only idlis and dosas. We have accepted that and I said, okay, I am going to try it when a chance comes. But meanwhile, natural death occurred. So that desire is not fulfilled, it is unspent, right? So that will be transferred to the next life. Whereas the Prarabdha Karmas that are there from the beginning of the birth they will not be transferred to the next life. All of those we have to spend in this life. That is the difference. So far, good?
Sir, Agami Sanskaras, this life's Agami Sanskaras are going to be converted into Prarabdha Sanskaras for next time?
Yes. Yes. We will cover those. Are we good so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you can open up the chart. I have prepared it for you and keep it handy for your reference. In your handout, there is a black chart. Keep that handy. Yeah. Thank you, Raghu. So, in this diagram, I have shown both the Prarabdha Sanskaras as well as Aagami Sanskaras. I know these words are unfamiliar to us, and especially these are Sanskrit words. We don't have a suitable words in English and Telugu to translate, right? So we have to stick with these Sanskrit words. So to avoid the confusion, I have created this chart so that we can understand this thoroughly. So the samskaras, set of samskaras that are readily available at the time of birth are called Prarabdha Sanskaras. We just mentioned that. Here in this chart we have taken an example of a person who is born with 20 good samskaras and 20 bad samskaras. This package came from the previous life. It is transferred. These 20 samskaras were not spent in the previous life, so they are transferred to the next life. So birth is with 20, right? Now, these samskaras drives the person's behavior as to what kind of life a person leads on this earth. Whether it is an educated life or uneducated life, whether it is a business life or employment life, whether it's a beautiful life or an ugly life, all that programming is already there in the Prarabdha Sanskaras at the time of birth itself. That package drives our behavior, our life. As we go on, these samskaras, when we perform the related actions, gradually are worn out. They are used out. So, the number 20 will gradually be coming down, and finally we will reach a time where they will be 0. That means 20 plus 20, 40 samskaras we have spent completely. When that happens, when these Prarabdha Sanskaras come to 0, that is the time we are done with this body. Whatever experience we needed to gain through this body, that syllabus is done. So now we have to gain additional experience, different experience. Maybe in this life I am a man, now I am spending my Prarabdha Sanskaras, right? But in this life, I don't have the experience of how a woman life is. With this body, it is not possible for me to empathize, understand, feel how the woman life is. So in order to gain that experience, my next life may be a woman life. So I take a woman body in the next life, and through the woman body, I experience how the woman life is going to be. Make sense? So this experience and that experience together enriches the human experiences. That way, the human life is enriched life after life through different kinds of bodies, through different kinds of lifestyles. Throughout the 84 lakhs of life cycles, it is enriched, matured, and that results into achieving our goal that I am God. So all this experience is only to enrich us, to mature us, and eventually help us to realize that I am truly God. Not a man, not a woman, not an engineer, not a teacher. I am in fact God. All powerful, all knowledgeable, all pervading. This is what I am. I am in everybody. Even today I am in everybody, but when you fall and get hurt, I don't experience that. There is no connectivity. Because my experience is clouded by these samskaras. Once the samskaras are spent, then only I experience myself in all of you. If I get the God realization today, in the lunch break for example, then I feel whatever you are eating, I can enjoy that taste. All whatever you are eating, I can enjoy that taste. That's exactly what Baba is doing today. He experiences through all of us. Anything and everything we are doing, he experiences that. That is the status of Baba. Okay? So that's about the Prarabdha Sanskaras. And the second category is Aagaami Sanskaras, as I just mentioned. These are by the influence of our environment. It may be friends, relatives, neighbors, people, places, anything and everything. Okay. So these are as a result of how we are living here, we gain additional samskaras by doing the additional actions. Those are Agami Karmas, and the related samskaras are Aagaami Sanskaras. These samskaras will be increasing and also decreasing. For example, our friend suggested to try the pizza, right? Within a week time, we went and tried the pizza. So the samskaras that we gained from the friend through this suggestion are spent at the time of eating the pizza. Let's say half a dozen samskaras are formed to eat the pizza. At the time of eating pizza, these 6 are spent. Again, some other suggestion might come. Again, we may get additional samskaras. So if we act upon it in this life, they will be spent out. Just in case, if they are not acted upon in this life, they will get transferred. Simple. Right? So, what drives and decides and terminates the life in this body is Prarabdha Karmas, Prarabdha Sanskaras. When that clock comes to 00, whatever Agami Sanskaras you have unspent will be transferred to the next life. So those are Agami Sanskaras. These will be increasing and decreasing, whereas Prarabdha Sanskaras will be gradually downfall only. They will not be increasing and decreasing. These are the differences. Clear so far? Any questions? So the third category of actions are Sanchitha Karma. Sanchitha Karmas means anything and everything that we acted upon before the birth of this life, right from the stone, right from the time when we first took our form from a formless state, from then onwards until before this life, anything and everything, all the actions, whatever we have done, they are all grouped into one category called Sanchitha Karmas. The samskaras related to those actions are all Sanchitha Samskaras. They all belong to our past. Another timing is at the time of birth, that is Prarabdha Sanskaras. After the birth is another timing, that is Agami Sanskaras. So when the context comes, we will get more details about the Sanchitha Samskaras. For now, if we understand these two clearly, we are good to go into the chapter. Any questions? Yes.
So, Agami and the Prarabdha have to go parallelly only, right? I mean,
Yes.
Kind, right?
Yes. Very good. Very good question. His question is, do we perform these actions parallelly? The answer is yes. Prarabdha karmas, Prarabdha Sanskaras, when we spend, for example, we'll take the same one I just mentioned. Our friend suggested to try the pizza. Within a week we are trying. In between, in this week, what we are working? We are working on our Prarabdha package. And when the weekend comes, then we are trying on the Agami Sanskaras. So it is a mixture. These two diagrams, you have to mix it together and understand. As I just mentioned, our life on this earth today is a mixed bag. I mentioned a mixed bag of both Prarabdha karmas as well as Agami karmas. Yes, Vijay.
So number will be increased, right then?
Which number?
20 plus whatever.
2020 will become 0, 0, 0.
No, I mean, in between so many gets added, right? Agami will
That is Agami package. Yes, you are right. So in the diagram, what is happening? Initially at the time of birth, Agami Sanskaras are 0, 0. There is nothing. As the time is progressing, they are like 3, 6, 6, 10. I just gave some random numbers because to show that they can increase and decrease in different manners. And in 2014, at the time of death, unspent Agami Sanskaras are 15 plus 20. 15 good Sanskaras and 20 bad Sanskaras. This guy already spent some of the Agami Sanskaras in the middle of the life. As you can see, some are decreasing, right? So the good Sanskaras were 10 at one time and then 14 that increased, right? The bad Sanskaras were 20 at one time and they decreased by the time of death, 15. That means 5 bad Sanskaras he has spent before the death. Anything and everything that is not spent by the time of death, that package will be transferred to the next life.
So next would be 15 and 29.
We will come into those details. For now, let us understand that they will be transferred to the next life. We will go into fine details. That's why I created this diagram. I will give you very deep level understanding. Okay?
Prarabdha for next life. They will be Prarabdha for next life.
Yes.
Whatever unspent.
Yes. Not all of them, some of them. We will give you those details. Okay, okay, so her question is, these leftover unspent Agami Sanskaras, because they are getting transferred into the next life, they will be treated as Prarabdha Sanskaras for the next life. The answer is partially yes. Why partially means not in the diagram. Not the 15 plus 20 will be available at the time of birth. Only 15 plus 15. So what happens to the additional 5? That we will learn in this chapter. Everybody will carry the good and bad samskaras in equal number at the time of birth. The number may differ from person to person. It may be 20-20, it may be 50-50, or it may be 10,000 and 10,000. The 10,000 and 10,000 person will live longer in this body, whereas 20-20 person will live short in this life. So the duration is decided by the Prarabdha Sanskaras. They are equal at the time of birth only, but during the life before the death, they are not always equal. In other words, they will not be spent from 2020 to 1919, 1818, 1717. No, they are equal only at the time of birth. Depending upon what actions they are doing, the related samskaras will be spent. For example, if the baby initially performs the bad deeds, pushing the other baby, hitting the other baby, those kind of activities, then the baby is spending the bad samskaras. Bad samskaras are spent. Out of 20, the graph came down to 15, and 20 good samskaras are there. So this is disturbed during the life. They are equal only at the time of birth. So today we decide whether a person is good or bad depending upon how many good samskaras and bad samskaras they have. We are all imperfect. We all have issues. Nobody is perfect here unless they get the God realization. So, if a person has more good samskaras, the more can be Prarabdha plus Aagami. And less bad samskaras, we refer to that this person is a good person. Yes, yeah, he has some problems, but now and then he annoys, but overall he is a very helpful person. Overall, that's how we decide. And similarly, if the graph is the other way, if the Prarabdha plus Aagami bad samskaras are dominating, we better stay away from that person. We keep that person at a distance. We refer to that person as a bad person. Yeah, now and then he does some charity, but overall he is very annoying. Stay away from him. That's how we understand. Geeta ji.
మీరు సంచిత కర్మ బ్రహ్మ ఎవల్యూషన్ నుంచి కలెక్ట్ అయ్యేస్తున్నారు. నాన్ న్యాచురల్ సంస్కారం, రీఇన్కార్నేషన్ నాన్ న్యాచురల్.
Her question is about the Sanchitha Karmas and Sanchitha Sanskaras. Okay. Everything before this birth we are calling as Sanchitha Sanskaras. Correct. So, Sanchitha Sanskaras are a mixture of natural and non-natural samskaras. Because this may not be the first human birth for me. Right? I may have lived 10,000 lives already. So, natural samskaras plus the non-natural samskaras that I have spent as a human being are Sanchita Sanskaras. By eating pizza in the weekend, if I spent 6 samskaras, these 6 samskaras now are going into Sanchita bag. Sanchita Sanchi. Okay? Even in this life, whatever we are spending, from today, anything that we have spent from birth to till today, whatever samskaras we have spent, now they are put it into the Sanchita Sanskaras category. Okay, at the time of birth, Sanchita Sanskaras are all done in the past. And now today, from the birth till now, I have already spent so many samskaras. They are also Sanchita Sanskaras. So Sanchita Sanskaras are defined by past, simple. This moment, past, Sanchita Sanskaras. His question is, the samskaras that we spend in heaven or hell, will they also be added to our Sanchita Sanskaras? That is his question. For the time being, I am parking that question because we are going to talk about that in detail anyway in a few minutes. Yes, who else? Yes.
By the time of that, all the Prarabdha Sanskaras are 0-0, right?
Yes.
Is there any possibility that it is not 0-0, it have some like 2 or 3, and if yes, what will happen to those?
That is not a possibility because natural death occurs when these Prarabdha Sanskaras become 0-0. That is the architecture by him. He has created the architecture. The design of this universe is done in a such a way that our life in this body terminates when they are coming to 0-0. Death, his question is it always 0-0 resulting the death, or at the time of death, is it possible that these Prarabdha Sanskaras, residual Prarabdha Sanskaras can be there, 2 or 3, something like that? Answer is no. Even if one Prarabdha Sanskara is left, one does not get the natural death. They have to wait to spend the leftover also, then only natural death happens. If it is an accident or suicide, that's a different case. We are talking about natural death only. So there is a phrase in Telugu that means the sinner will live longer. It is a popular phrase, I know it. But technically, practically, is it really true? I am aware of people, very nice people, who lived longer and lived their life helping so many people. So, it is not always correct. That is the answer. Any more?
Sir,
Yes.
now you tell that we are independent Prarabdha Sanskaras when we are born, but if Sanskaras are balanced, we get
Make your question clear. I think I got what you are asking, but make it very clear.
Sir, we know that when the Sanskaras are balanced,
Right.
we get
Uh-huh.
realization.
Yes.
So here we are getting that we are getting equal Sanskaras when we leave born.
Right,
So
right.
that's clarification.
Okay. Now I got your question. Very good. His question is, if the good samskaras and bad samskaras are equal in number, don't they get cancelled out and then get the God realization? That is his question. This question came up in our previous sessions also. Anyway, we will talk about that now. And the answer is no. Why? Simply because one has 20 good samskaras and 20 bad samskaras, they don't get cancelled out. They are equal in number only, but they have to become equal in the quality also. Then only they get cancelled. If we slap somebody, we acquire some bad samskaras. And these bad samskaras will be cancelled out only when that person slaps us back. Then only these samskaras will be cancelled out. And just because we do some other good thing, some other good act, that good act will not cancel this slapping behavior. If you slap somebody, you have to get slapped. If you kill somebody, you have to get killed. That is the law of karma. That we will talk about in the later chapters. This discourse is about reincarnation and karma. How the karma operates, that comes into the later chapters. The initial chapters are focusing on the reincarnation. How the reincarnations happen, and during these reincarnations, what are the fine details happening, and all these details are helpful for us to tune our life here. That's the whole purpose. Otherwise, why do we need all these details? Who cares about heaven and hell? Right? We are here on the earth. Why should we worry about heaven and hell? It's because we want to tune our life here to avoid the possible hell experience, or at least to minimize the hell experience. Okay? So, we know about more great details about what happens about the death that we learned in the first chapter. Now, after that death, what happens? That is the second chapter. Next 3 days after the death, this person, the deceased person, will have a contact with the family members and the premises where the death occurred. We cannot see that person, but that person can see us. The person will continue to have the association with the earthly life without the physical body. Baba said during that time, chanting God's name or singing God's devotional songs will promote that person to go to his goal, his or her goal. And it is spiritually beneficial for this deceased person as well as the people who sing or chant God's name. This we discussed in the first chapter. This is what happens outside. But behind the screens, what happens? That is in the second chapter. Spiritually, we are made up of 5 components. We are truly soul. Our true nature is soul, whether we recognize that today or not. And as a soul, we carry 3 different bodies. Of these three bodies, one is visible and two are invisible. The visible is this physical body that has the legs, hands, nose, ears. That's the physical body which we can see with these eyes. The other two bodies are subtle body and mental body, which we cannot see with these eyes. They are not visible to these eyes, but they are visible to some other eye. That is an advanced topic, not part of this chapter. We'll park it. For these eyes, they are invisible. So now soul plus three bodies, four components. The fifth component is the consciousness, which helps you to feel who you are. If somebody asks, who are you? I'm a school teacher, I'm an engineer, I'm a software engineer. This answer is coming from the consciousness. Consciousness is the one that is giving this answer. Now, of these components, the subtle body works with the other two bodies. The subtle body functions with other two bodies. What are the other two bodies? Gross body or physical body, both are same. And the mental body. It works with both of them. What does it do with the physical body? Breathing the air in, breathing the air out, and pumping the heart. Are we giving instructions to the heart? We are not. Are we giving instructions to the breathing? We are not. It is because subtle body is taking care of those jobs. Anything and everything we eat, converting that food into our body, limbs and organs. All these kind of activities are done by the subtle body. Even if a minor cut is there, you simply clean it and put the band-aid. Band-aid doesn't have any medicine. It is only some sticker, you are putting it there. It holds these two pieces together, that's all the band-aid does. It doesn't have any medicine. The subtle body itself goes and does this stitching, a surgeon does. It does the stitching and heals it in a few days. Without any medicine, it is getting healed. But if it is a major accident or major injury, subtle body cannot do that. We need to take the help of doctor. Okay, so that's the physical body. And what does the subtle body do with the mental body? If I ask the question, what did you eat for breakfast yesterday? It takes some time for you to scratch your head to remember and recollect what you ate for the breakfast yesterday. Correct? So, are we writing down in a notebook whatever we are eating for breakfast, lunch, dinner, kind of things? Are we? No. But how we are able to answer that question? It is because it is written in the mental body. The subtle body is going and looking for what are all the samskaras related to the breakfast of yesterday. Reading those samskaras and then coming up with an answer to say, I ate upma yesterday. Alright? Likewise, not only that, thinking, becoming angry, ideation, discrimination of what to do, what not to do, creativity, music, arts, performance of arts, all of these things are done with the combination of the mental body and the subtle body. Subtle body supplies the energy. As a result, we perform certain acts. So the point is, the subtle body works with both the bodies, right? But at the time of death, the physical body is dismantled either by burning or by putting into the earth. Physical body is dismantled. So this subtle body doesn't have a full job. 50%, almost 50% of the work is free. Baba called this as semi-subtle body. That means it only now, after the death, subtle body works only with the mental body. It doesn't have a physical body to work with. Right? Now, behind the screens, what happens after the death? Until 3 days, the deceased person will have a contact with the family members and the premises of the death. And this is what happens outside. And behind the screens, what happens? Behind the screens, this subtle body, which is nothing but energy, life energy, right? This subtle body goes and does a full scan of the mental body, looking for what are all the samskaras left to be spent. The samskaras that are spent already, they are gone. Anything that is unspent, it looks for, and it makes a count of all of those. Point 1. Point 2 is, it also segregates those samskaras into two groups, good samskaras and bad samskaras. Samskaras formed during the good acts, samskaras formed during the bad acts. This is what happens in the first 3 days. Now two groups of samskaras are there. In the example we have taken, at the time of death, how many unspent samskaras are left? 35 total. 15 are good samskaras and 20 bad samskaras. This calculation, this homework is done by the subtle body working with the mental body. This is a phase. We continue to live these 3 days, and internally behind the screens, these things do happen. All right. So after the death, we are left with 3.5 components. In a way, they are 4 components, because one component is not fully functioning. We will call it as 0.5. We are left with 3.5 components. What is that 0.5 component?
Mental body.
Huh?
Mental body. Subtle body.
Subtle body. Subtle body. Because the other 50% doesn't have a physical body to work with. So it is resting, no job. So this 3.5 structure, soul plus mental body plus half subtle body, or in Baba's words, semi-subtle body, plus consciousness. This package is otherwise called as astral body. This package is called as astral body.
Astral body and astral world, sir.
Yeah, I will see. This is physical body, and our physical environment is physical world. Whatever experiences we gain through the astral body, those experiences are astral world, simply. Are we clear what is astral body? The leftover package. Only half of the subtle body is there but not working. So gross body is completely gone. So 3.5 components are left. That combination is called astral body. So the point here is, we continue to live as astral body without physical body after death. So death is not a termination to all. We continue to live as astral body. So after the assessment of the samskaras are done, and the total samskaras are counted, and the total samskaras are grouped into good samskaras and bad samskaras, and we counted how many bad are there, how many good are there. This job is done. That is one aspect. And then after 3 days, what happens? The association of the deceased person with the earthly life, particularly with their family members and the premises, continues, but it is a weak connection, not like in the first 3 days. That is the reason on the 11th day, we celebrate the big karma. After 3 days, we do the small karma. After 11 days, we do the big karma. After 11 days, 12th and 13th day, 2 more days, also the association will be there, but it will be very, very, very weak association. It's almost like as if nothing, but it is there. Very weak connection. That is why in some families, if they cannot do the big karma on 11th day, they choose the 13th day as an option to do the rituals. After 13th day, the association between the deceased person and the family and the premises or anything and everything on this physical earth is zero. Absolute zero. And we have no business with that deceased person, and the deceased person has no business with us. In the first 3 days, the deceased person has a business with us. They can see us, they can hear us, but we cannot see them, we cannot hear them, what they are saying, their feelings, their expressions, nothing. Right? But after 13th day, it is a zero business by both parties. The deceased person will get involved in continuing the life with the astral body combination, and they will continue to live their life, whatever they are supposed to do. That we will learn in the later chapter, later part of this chapter. The point is, the association with the earthly life is zero after 13 days. That is the most important thing, Baba said. People who do not know this, they continue to carry an association with the deceased person by doing the rituals post 13 days, anniversaries, death anniversaries, the rituals for the death anniversary, feeding the food to the deceased soul. All these kind of things are created by human beings. They are not created by God-realized persons. The people have some kind of feelings for the deceased person. To please those feelings, these rituals are created. But in fact, we have absolutely no business with the deceased person and vice versa. Like how we continue to live our physical life, are we going to stop eating after somebody dies? After 13 days, are we going to stop eating? Are we going to stop sleeping? We are not. Are we going to stop watching TV series just because one of our family member deceased? We are not. On the same day, sometimes we start. Right? By the afternoon, we take the body to cemetery, and somebody will suggest, hey, everybody's mood is dull, turn on the TV, at least the mood will change. When the TV is turned on, what do we watch? TV serials preferably. So we continue our physical life. Similarly, they continue their life in their own way. How do they continue? What do they do? We will get to know very soon. But the point is, there is a zero connection after the 13th day, and no transactions happen. People who do not know these spiritual truths. So who told this information? Highest of the high, God realized person and God of gods. And this is authentic information. Anything else is not authentic. And any kind of activities and rituals that are created are all created by human beings to please other people. Okay. So this is what happening after the 13th day. If we know that, then we will go into the other aspects. Now I open up for the questions.
We often see some deceased people, the souls which have already disappeared after 30 days also. So what is the connection?
Did you see? You saw? Share your experience briefly in a minute. Okay, maybe we'll talk about that offline. So what did you learn from what Baba said so far?
There's no connection. So I have that, why did we have these images or visuals in our dreams when
Yeah.
the person is already gone?
Okay.
And that connection is lost.
Dream is not real thing, we know that, right? Dream is not real. Even this life is also not real. But we take this life as real, at least for the time being, until we get the God realization. Okay, good. Good question. Her question is, after the death, sometimes we see the deceased people in one way or the other way. That is her question. My question back to her is, did you see? And she said yes. So that possibility is there. But in fact, as per what Baba said, there is a zero connection between the earthly life and the astral world. Zero connection after the 13th day. So anything and everything we experience or see, either in dreams or even in this life, are all the gimmicks of the mind. Like how the mind creates a dream for you, which is not real, in the middle of the sleep, and shows you a lot of things which may please you or which may scare you. What we call as nightmare, dream or nightmare. So this is the creativity of the subtle body plus mental body. During the dream, the mental body and subtle body are active. The subtle body goes and reads the strongly influenced samskaras, and it creates a story and creates a screenplay and then gives you an IMAX experience. This is done by the subtle body and mental body. Likewise, even after somebody dies, yes, like you or somebody else, they may have some certain kind of experiences seeing people who are deceased. But it is only an illusion. It is only a gimmick created by the mind. There is a psychological term for that one, which is called delusion. In the delusion, people who are strongly associated with the deceased person, may it be mother, father, or uncle, or auntie, whom they loved so much, they do not accept the fact that they are deceased. For the remaining world, they are deceased, but not for this strongly loving person. They don't accept that. This denial of the fact is called as delusion. For example, one famous pop singer, Elvis Presley, is there, world famous. His records are sold at a high rate even after his death. That popular he is. We probably may not know it. And he lived in a state called Tennessee in US, in a place called Memphis. That is his native place. In Memphis, there are a lot of people. I mean, the kind of interest, love he generated across the world, much before Michael Jackson, is so much, and the followers and the admirers who loved Elvis Presley, they don't believe that Elvis Presley is dead, even if his death happened 70 years before. They don't believe in it. They think Elvis Presley is still alive. Some of our Indians still believe that Subhash Chandra Bose is alive. You go to the internet and then put Subhash Chandra Bose alive, you get a lot of stories and a lot of videos. Is it practically possible, if you see the date of birth of the Subhash Chandra Bose, can he live 200 years, 300 years like that? Even after 200 years, 300 years, some of the admirers and their generations, they continue to believe that he is not dead, because his death was not established. He was believed to die in a plane crash. Nobody has seen that, so they don't believe it. This is called delusion. Similarly, another mind gimmick is there, which is called hallucination. In the hallucination, mind creates another game. As a result, we see the deceased people coming and talking with us, interacting with us. And that experience is as real as our experience with the other living people. Having experienced that, they share that story with the others. Others look at this person poorly. I know how much you love Auntie Menatta, but she is deceased. That's what they think inside, but they will be looking poorly at this person. What kind of story she is talking? Poor lady. Oh, sorry. That's it. For this person, Auntie is dead. But for this person who loved the auntie so deeply, he is not dead. And this she coming and appearing and interacting is all because of this person's past samskaras. Like how the subtle body and mental body create a dream in the sleep, they do the same thing even when you are awake and create this dream while you are wakeful. That dream is called hallucination. So, coming back to her question, yes, whatever you said is true. Your experience is true. And similar experience is also felt by several other people. But this is only an illusion, not real as this earthly life. That is the answer for you. Are you happy? Good. Yes.
మన జగత్ భ్రాంతి అంటాం కదా, అంటే ఇది కూడా మనం క్రియేట్ చేసుకుందేనా? మానసిక శరీరం తర్వాత ఈ ప్రాణ శరీరంతోనే క్రియేట్ చేసుకొని మనం ఇదంతా చూస్తున్నామా?
Yes, exactly. And question ఏంటంటే, the whole universe itself is an illusion. Is this another illusion within this illusion? The answer is yes. The dream or nightmare that we get during the sleep is an illusion in this whole universal illusion. Similarly, delusion, hallucination are also additional illusions. So, at least I know one case where daughter-in-law was acting as if her mother-in-law was occupying her time to time after these 13 days period, and she was acting like her own mother-in-law, demanding to make the delicacies, deep fried items, several delicacies, traditional delicacies, and they used to get fried, and then immediately they will prepare that and then offer these offerings to her, and she would eat to the full of the neck. Enjoy all the food. And this incident happened several times to the same person. Always only mother-in-law is occupying and demanding. Mother-in-law is a very demanding personality. So when she made the command, immediately all the daughters used to come and cook and give her the offerings. This happened multiple times. After several years, in a chit-chat, we came to know through daughter-in-law only. It's a first-hand information, not any depictions, first-hand information. We came to know that idiot lady, my mother-in-law, never used to feed me well. I had a very tough life when she was alive. And all these desires were in my pending list, backlog. And that's why I had to act like this. Otherwise, these idiots, they will not serve me like that. So, yes, confusing incidents do happen in our life. That is why we are learning the information, the truth, directly from the horse's mouth. So, instead of believing the other way, here we have the opportunity to learn the truth. Anything other than truth is not truth, it is false. It may appear true. Our dream appears very true to us when we are in the middle of the dream. But it is not true, we know that. Is it not? That's about it. Any other questions? Yes.
చనిపోయిన తర్వాత ఈ 3 daysలో క్యాలిక్యులేషన్స్ అవుతాయి కదా, ఎంత గుడ్ ఉంది ఎంత బ్యాడ్ ఉంది.
Yes.
సెమీ సెటిల్ బాడీ మెటల్ బాడీతో కంట్రోల్ అయ్యి క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తుంది. పిచ్చి వాళ్ళని మనం చూస్తుంటాం. సో వాళ్ళు మెంటల్గా స్టేబుల్గా లేనప్పుడు చేసిన కర్మలు కూడా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ అవుతాయి.
Everything. Yes. His question is, if a mad person does certain things without his or her own knowledge, will they be counted into this calculation? Yes, anything, any action will be recorded in the mental body and there is no exception. The only exception is, we talked about before, when we are involved in a particular action, if we do not have any sort of expectations of the result of that action, plus we also believe that this act is happening through me by God. God is acting through me to do this one. That means we are disowning the results and we are also disowning the action. When that happens, in such act, you will not form any samskaras. If at all anything is formed, they will be very weak samskaras. If you remember, it is well said in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate na papena. After the death, after these 13 days, life continues in the astral body and there will be revival of the actions that we have already performed on the earth. If these actions are good actions, we experience intense happiness multiple times than the happiness we get on the earthly life. Suppose we did a charity work of donating 100 rupees to some poor person, and the poor person felt so pleased and blessed us. We felt happy. This happy is the X. When this is repeated in the heaven experience, we get multiple X happiness. So this happiness will be multiplied. How many times we don't know. It all depends upon the kind of act we performed. So that intense happiness we feel with this astral body. In the heaven, unlike what we see in the movies and the storybooks, nobody else will be there. The Shramba, Urushi, Menaka, Tilottama, these characters, Indra's assistants, nobody will be there. You are alone as the astral body, experiencing the intense multiplied happiness, that's all. Suppose if somebody died a few days before you, who is also a good person, who was very likely to go to the heaven, you might think that because I am going to heaven, I might probably see my neighbor also. We can have a chit chat now and then. No, that person's heaven is different, your heaven is different. There is no common heaven. Everybody experiences this heavenly feeling alone, unlike we see in the movies. The dramatization done in the movies or the storybooks are for the sake of people who are not into the spiritual fold, who are uneducated. These dramatizations are for their easy understanding and be careful of not doing the sins. Similarly, in the hell experience, the mind experiences intense pain when the bad things are repeated in the hell state. This intense suffering is between the mental body and the semi-subtle body. When the semi-subtle body tries to read these bad samskaras and try to project that like a dream, the pain will be very intense. We will get to know why it is intense. We will get to know those technicalities. First of all, let's know what is happening in the heaven and hell. Right? In the hell also we are alone. There is nothing like Yamadharmaraja, Chitragupta and all that. Chitragupta is actually, it is a diversified name. The actual name is Chittagupta. Chitta means mind. Gupta means hidden. Not known to open. It's a hidden mind. So this astral body, the operations, the processes between the mental body and the semi-subtle body, these are not easily known to all public. It is hidden. It is a mental activity. That's why it is called Chittagupta. Later on, it turned out to be Chitragupta. What is Chitra? What is strange about that character? Nothing strange, right? Is any strange thing we know about Chitragupta? No. So that's Chittagupta. Okay? So that's about the hell experience at a high level. We'll go into deeper, we will get to know even finer details soon. So his question is, yes, now we are getting to know the fine details of what happens in the heaven and hell, but in some beliefs, in some granthas, the depictions are different. For example, we said we are alone in heaven or hell. But whereas in some beliefs, we see multiple people, we interact with multiple people. That's a different belief set. Whether that is true or not is the question. What I say is, since I accepted Meher Baba as avatar, the highest of the high, which is the recoming of Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad and Meher Baba. This is what I believe in. This is a claim he made and I am believing in it. So whatever he says is true to me. That is the Vedam for me. Because I am believing in him, whatever he says is also, I believe in his sayings. Right? The other beliefs may be a little different than what Baba is saying. And if you have belief in that belief, you can believe in that. That is our choice. But having believed Meher Baba, we should not go and criticize or point out any other belief. Because this is also a belief. The only way we know that he is really highest of the high, after we get the God realization. Until then, this is only a belief. There is no verification, there is no data, there is no experimentation we have done. If we really know that he is avatar, there is no need to believe him. We know him. Do you believe that your child is your child? You don't believe. Your child is your child, you know that. You don't have to believe your child. Right? So that is knowing and the beliefs. So since this is belief, there is no need to go and criticize or point out any other beliefs. Like how this belief is true to us, their belief is true to them. So we need to respect that belief, even though it is different from what we know. Clear? Good questions, very good. Anything else? Is this your second question? Only cash transactions, immediate.
What Baba said is, his philosophy is very close to Vedanta.
Sorry, please repeat.
I repeat philosophy goes to the Vedanta and Tibet.
Which philosophy?
Hindu Vedanta.
Okay. Which is close to Vedanta?
Baba చెప్పారు సందర్భంలో
Okay.
మాట్లాడుతుంటే నేను చెప్పేది closest to the Vedanta.
Maybe.
ఈ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఎక్కువ.
Okay, yeah. So her comment is, Baba said, whatever Baba gave the messages and discourses are very close to the Vedanta. That's what Baba said. That's what she says. I don't know, but she is commenting on that, just sharing a comment. So in this example we have taken, by the time of natural death, there are 15 good samskaras and 20 bad samskaras. Unspent Agami Sanskaras. Some Agami Sanskaras are spent with the body itself in the earthly life. But these are left over by the time natural death occurred. So this is the case. In this particular case, what happens is, the excess samskaras will be spent through the astral body. In this particular case, 5 bad samskaras are there in excess to the 15 good samskaras. Correct? So those 5 bad samskaras will be spent by the astral body. Because these 5 samskaras are bad samskaras, astral body experiences hell experience. Similarly, suppose if the case is the other way, where by the time of natural death, 20 good samskaras are there and 15 bad samskaras are there. In that case also, only excess samskaras will be spent by the astral body. In that case, since the excess samskaras are good samskaras, the astral body experiences multiplied happiness, what we call as heaven. Okay? So this is in general to heaven and hell. Common experience, common attributes. There are two kinds of desires. Some desires heavily depend on the physical body. Some desires, they don't heavily depend on the physical body. For example, if I want to go and get the haircut this weekend, I may do it or I may postpone it. But whenever I do it, I need the physical body. Without physical body, I cannot get the haircut done. Right? My body is required to get that one executed. Whereas, there are certain desires, those desires can be fulfilled much better when the body is not there. For example, singing songs. Everybody likes to sing, but not everybody can sing. Some can sing better, some average, some horrible. Horrible singers are there. Among the horrible singers, they believe that they are Lata Mangeshkar. They think that is another delusion. They strongly believe that they are singing like Lata Mangeshkar for them, but for others it is horrible to hear. Right? Because in their mind beautiful music is there. Just like how Lata sang. Beautiful music is there in their mind. But when it is coming through this body, untrained body, it is getting deteriorated. Its quality is falling down. Troubling everybody, all the listeners. Right? So these kind of desires can easily get executed in the absence of this deteriorating body. For that, I sang a partial phrase of a popular song. Pyar kiya to, there you go. Right? So this popular song is in our brain. It is in our mind. So when I sing only partial phrase, you hear the remaining phrase played by your mind, not by your body. Even if you don't utter your lips, even if you don't open your throat, you can still hear the remaining phrase. How can you hear that? Your mind can play it. That doesn't require the physical body. If you want to entertain others, you need physical body. If you want to entertain yourself, you don't need physical body. Those kind of desires, when executed by this astral body, because the body is not there, it is an advantage. As a result, this will get executed to the best, just like Lata Mangeshkar. And it gives immense happiness, multiplied happiness. That happiness is what we are calling as heaven. So, physical body, with reference to the physical body dependency and independency, desires are twofold. The desires that are heavily dependent on the physical body are called coarser desires, thick in nature. Too much dependency on the physical body. Even eating an apple is a coarser desire. Through the astral body, you cannot enjoy eating apple because you don't have your own physical body, and the apple is also not there in the astral world. How can you enjoy that one? It's very difficult. So when that is repeated, even eating apple when it is repeated, it gives immense suffering because of the utter failure. And that is what is hell. So the desires that are heavily dependent on body are called coarser desires by Baba. And the desires that they don't heavily depend on the body and they can be played by the mind, they are called finer desires. Baba said, coarser desires lead to hell and finer desires lead to heaven. His question is, we gave an example of slapping, right? Slapping is bad. So when others slap us, is that a good act or bad act? That is his question, right? If slapping is bad, opposite is obviously good. Simple. So we are going to hold our discussion here for now, and there are a lot more intrinsic and interesting facts given by Baba are there in this chapter that we will continue in the next session. And this information will help us to groom our thoughts, our thinking process and our behavior so that we can minimize this so-called hell experience. Okay? And with that, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher